economy is bleeding billions every year due to rampant crime. On Friday, law enforcement agencies intercepted several truckloads of counterfeit goods with more than 100 million rand at a shopping complex in Cape Town. This is just one such raid that we've seen or heard of in recent months. Now, to tell us more about the impact of counterfeiting on the economy, I'm joined by Black Business Council CEO, Mr. Kganki Matabane. Thank you so much, Mr. Matabane, for joining me this evening. Of course, you know, this is a huge issue. We just saw what happened a few days ago in Cape Town. How deep is this issue in South Africa, and how is it impacting business and small businesses especially?
Good afternoon, Barron and the eNCA viewers. I think the challenge is that what this is causing, which is we think is a very serious problem, and we think is widespread. What we need to do is to arrest the kingpins. It's well and good to arrest the people who are almost like the runners, but arresting runners is not going to solve the problem. And then the challenges with this counterfeit goods is that it robs the country of the tax, but the biggest challenge that it brings is that when we look at our biggest problem is that we've got like 75% youth unemployment, and if you have that type of unemployment, we need to make sure by all means that we localize, we produce things here in South Africa, so that we can create jobs here.
Yeah, that's very important that you mentioned that at the end, because at the end of the day, this has severe impacts on job security in South Africa, and we're already struggling with unemployment rates sky high. So, you know, of course, you mentioned the kingpins as well. So are you saying that this has a deeper criminal aspect to it in the country?
Yes, from the way it looks like there are people who are seriously organized, and then when you have a situation where you've got people who are organized, it means it's a structure that you cannot just dismantle by arresting the people at the bottom. You need to look at the top and say when and easily follow the money, because you just need to check to say where is this money going after people have bought, and that I'm sure our financial system is very robust. We should be able to pick that thing up, and that is what we're supposed to do as a country. And once you get the kingpins, everything will stop. But if you keep on arresting, which is also good to arrest those that you catch, but if that is not leading to the kingpins, we will keep on arresting people all the time, but without solving the problem. So the bigger issue should be, how do we solve the problem? Because again, as we say, it's not in the national interest for goods to come here. They didn't pay tax and all those type of things, and also we're basically creating jobs in other countries, because most of these goods come from China and other places, which tells you that manufacturing is happening there. It's not happening here in South Africa. So we need to, as a country, be united and resolve this problem in the best interest. And we must always be guided by the national interest of South Africa. And the national interest of South Africa, as we speak, is to create jobs. We can't create jobs by supporting other countries and other countries' manufacturing while we're supposed to be supporting our own.
Let's then talk about, you know, what we can do as a country. What can South Africa do to improve its structural capabilities to protect against illicit trade and counterfeit goods? And then maybe what are the barriers then, you know, preventing effective enforcement of existing laws in the country?
The biggest one is corruption. We have seen it also with the porous borders that we have. So these goods, when they come through mainly through the aeroplanes. it means when they get to the airport, either there's corruption or there's no proper security at the airport to be able to pick up all these goods. Because if they arrest someone in Cape Town already, that person already has crossed the borders from wherever they were to South Africa. It means there's no proper control. And again, where there's proper control, probably there's corruption. People get paid for them to pass all this type of goods to go through. So we need to deal with corruption, and to deal with corruption, especially in the environment where South Africa is, where the moral compass is so low. We need to be seen as a country to be dealing with corruption at the highest level without fear and favor. Because if you don't deal with the people, for example, people see all the time the people at the top being accused, but no one gets arrested. They also think we can also take chances. So we need to find mechanism of deterring this type of behavior by being seen not to be favoring certain people. Otherwise, then this type of things will continue.
And then what then can we do? You talk about steps that need to be taken, and when it comes to our institutions and our enforcement agencies and our porous borders and all the things you just mentioned, then begs the question: is it a skills issue? Is it or is it just plain and simple corruption? Or you think it's just not something that we can tackle? It's never going to be resolved.
Yeah, I think we can resolve it because the skills is not an issue, because to be at the airports and the borders it's not a rocket science. So we do have people in South Africa who are qualified to do this. So one part is to deal with corruption, and then the second part is also to incentivize through tariffs, to incentivize people who are manufacturing in South Africa. Because the other challenge is that it means there's a need for those clothes. People are buying those counterfeit clothes, mainly maybe because the local market is not incentivized enough to bring their cost down, so that the goods that they sell are of a much cheaper price compared to the ones that are brought from other countries. Because if the similar goods may not be the same, but the similar goods are much cheaper, people will buy what they can afford. They'll buy the cheaper ones instead of buying these other ones from other countries and creating jobs that other side. So we need to incentivize the local producers so that we can invigorate our manufacturing capacity that we had before 1994.
Because otherwise people always go for the cheaper option at the end of the day as well. They don't ask questions where it comes from. So that is very important, the last bit that you mentioned there, for the country to do that specifically. Thank you so much, Mr. Matabane, of course, joining me from the Black Business Council, the CEO, Kganki Matabane, on the illicit trade in South Africa. Of course, a very huge problem, as we saw in Cape Town. Millions, if not billions, that we lose every year when it comes to illicit trade and counterfeit goods in South Africa. Now, let's go to this. Electricity Minister Kganki